Our CRM uses the Elastic search engine to streamline and enhance the process of finding entries within the system. To fully leverage the capabilities of Elasticsearch, we need to configure it properly. The configuration process involves setting up the full text search, or FTS for short, the workbench. We can navigate to the FTS setup section, where we can firstly add the module we want, which in this case is going to be our employee suggestions module. And now we can see that there are various modification options available. In this case, we are going to focus on the basics, which means enabling global search for the fields we define. Let's move to the Index Parameters tab first and explain the few configuration options we have here. The Index Priority feature determines the priority level for indexing our specified fields within the CRM. The setting influences how the background indexing job processes commands based on the established hierarchy. For the majority of the fields, a default value is provided, and extensive configuration is not required to include them in the global search. The multi-match type defines how the defined fields are going to impact the search. To enable the search on all fields simultaneously, we are going to select cross fields. If we want to search for the entries of our module globally in this top search bar from anywhere in the CRM, we would need to check the global search field, since it is highly beneficial to have the capability to access data from our module regardless of the location. This concludes the basic index parameter setup for our search, and now we can move on to the Fields tab to configure the fields that we will be searching. Here, let's click on the Add Field button on the bottom to open the Add Field model. The most common type of search setup that would fit our purpose would be if we could search the suggestion based on its name or status. We can search for those fields in the search bar provided for us. So let's say name. And let's drag it to the right, as well as status. Clicking OK will add them to our view, and clicking on the fields themselves will allow us to configure them further. We can change the name, we can change the label, the type can be various depending on the use case. In our case, it's going to be text, since name consists of text characters in our database. In order for the name to be searchable, we need to check the search box, and to have the results sorted afterwards, check the sortable box. Next, we need to set up the analyzer. The analyzer, as we can see, defines how to index content. We can see there's a standard HTML, Edge, Ngram, and email address. If the analyzer is left empty, the default value will be taken as standard. This means it will index the search exactly as the input parameters. At times we will want to search based on a couple of letters and not the full name, and that's where SpiceCRM all comes into play. It will help us achieve a modular search and not force us to input the exact text of data that we want. Let's click on Save and move on to the status field now. We can give it a label. We'll leave it as is. The type in this term is going to be a keyword, since multiple entries can have the same status. And the aggregate type, which is a sort of filter, is going to be term. We see some options here. Collapsed means it will always be collapsed. Aggregate empty values includes empty values. And system aggregate is not relevant. Let's click on Save. If we now add a field or change a parameter, all we have to do is click on Save. Anything else would require a reset, which creates an empty index, and anything that was changed is going to be gone. So, for example, if we had 3 million entries in our table and we clicked on Reset, it is going to take a long time. So we always have to keep in mind how many entries a table has. Lastly, we will want to click on the Index button to index our entries. This will get back all of our entries that were previously gone and add new ones if they are present. So let's click on Reset to actually initialize the fields we just added. And clicking on Index is going to index them. In this case, we can also choose how many entries we want to index at a time. In this scenario, we are going to index only 100 records, since we do not have a lot in our table yet.